What's up, guys? Gonna do one of my quasi reviews on a knife that is really it's polarizing. People either love it or hate it. Haven't met anybody that really was in between. Not met, haven't talked to anybody that was in between at all. That's the HEST folder, the DPX HEST folder. This is the 2.0 with the improvements to the lock. No stainless steel liner, or might have been titanium, I don't know. Same steel, same blade, minor changes to the lock, minor changes to the pocket clip, I think. This isn't a 1.0 versus 2.0 comparison, but I know the backspacer was extended. Just little things like that. This is exactly the same size and shape as the HEST fixed blade, which I like. It's a cool knife. Used it a lot. Had one for a long time. Hang on just a second. Need to get something for a demonstration. Like the fixed blade, so I always thought I'd like the folder, but a lot of people scared me away from the folder because they had problems with the lock. No matter what, the lock developed rock after a couple days. Most of the time it was within 24 hours, I think. I am very confident that Lionsteel has fixed those problems. Just looking at the lock geometry on this knife, even without handling it, I would tell you that it's probably not going to have problems with the lock, just based on geometry. But I've opened and closed this knife probably 750, 800 times so far. Might be close to 1,000. I'm not really sure. And the lock has neither moved any or developed any lock rock at all. And that's pretty impressive. Normally locks have moved a little bit by now, settled in. Just go over the knife. D2 steel, which Lionsteel runs this blade hard. You don't want to hit this blade or this edge on anything like a staple. Anything hardened steel, no ceramic. I'm talking about hitting the edge, not sharpening, because it will chip. It will, in fact, chip out. It's that hard. But as long as you don't abuse the blade, it will cut for a long time and keep its edge. D2 is a good edge holder. D2 holds a nice fine edge for a while, and ran this hard. It holds its fine razor edge a good long time. A very long time, actually. Lionsteel does the D2 right. It is flat ground, comes from pretty thick stock, but it comes down to a nice cutting edge. See if I can show you how thin it gets. There you go, you can kind of tell. Comes down to a fairly thin cutting edge, which is good. I like it. Since I'm already zoomed up, I'll go ahead and show you the lock. The lock geometry, the blade tang cutout is very shallow, and it has just barely a hint of a radius in there. I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's a very shallow cutout. It's not extreme at all. And also, the actual lock itself is also angled. So you have your angle on your blade tang, and normally, I don't know how to illustrate this. Don't know how to, here we go. Normally you have your lockout or your lock cutout. In this case, this is the blade tang right here. Normally your lock hits the tang like this. There is no angle on this tang at all, or this lock. So imagine this is the lock moving back and forth. It normally locks in like that on one corner. Puts a lot of wear on this corner, and that's why locks wear in over time, because it'll just continue to wear in like that. That corner will wear in. It'll move deeper and deeper. Well, what Lionsteel has done with this is they've actually angled the lock bar. Imagine this is still straight. Lionsteel's actually angled the lock bar so when it pops in, it actually meets like this. So the wear is spread out over the whole face of the lock bar. It's really solid, and it does not wear much, if at all, because it's not meeting on a corner. It's meeting like this, a full mate. This is the first time I've ever seen it done like this, and it seems to be working. I'll give you guys updates on how it's lasting, but honestly close to 1,000 cycles so far, and it's doing really well. Let me bump up the ISO so y'all can see this. There you go. You can see it's just ever so slightly beveled. It's very solid. Very solid. I can get it to flex a little bit if I really muscle on it, but there's absolutely zero lock rock, and I don't really foresee it being a problem. Doesn't matter if I sling it. If I sling it out, it's still right there, right at about 50% with no stick. Granted, I do have graphite on the blade tang. Since I'm zoomed in, I'll go ahead and give you a detail shot. Roto block, useless feature. Don't like it. The jimping looks like it would be painful, but it's actually not at all. Not painful in the least bit, and really effective. They say this is also a makeshift wire stripper. I don't know. Bottle opener feature can be used as a wave. Works pretty effectively. Nice belly on your blade. The blade cuts really well. That's always a plus. Don't let the pivot scare you. It can be adjusted with a regular Allen key or the supplied tool, which is the skull. This does the pocket clip. This does the pivot, of course. That's an extra pocket clip screw. If you don't want the glass breaker, you can have the rounded one. They say that's a box cutter. It's dull as a butter knife. Little pry bar. Cool little tool, honestly. I mean, it is what it is, but nice grippy, standard kind of peel plow G10, Ranger green, T6 Torx. Pocket clip is deep carry, which I hate. I hate this pocket clip. The look of it is okay, but if there's one problem with a knife, it's the pocket clip. You can clip it in your pocket, but you have about this much play where the knife will actually come up out of your pocket until it hits this, and pretty much it has this much play in your pocket. It can ride and bounce like this, so if you're running, it'll actually bounce in and out of your pocket. I don't like that at all. I wish you could get a regular clip, but not a big deal. I can get over that. It would take away from the knife. The knife is dead centered, which I like to see. I have 3 of them. They're all dead centered. Handled 12 of them. They were literally all dead center. So that's good. They're doing something right. You have Teflon washers. Makes the knife very smooth. Very, very smooth. Easily flicked out. You do have a stop pin, so the thumb studs don't serve as a blade stop. You have a nice beefy stop pin. Very beefy, actually, as you can see. Serves as a blade stop in both open and closed position. The quality of the knife seems to be really good. Lionsteel, they do have hit and miss quality, so I've heard, but they may be correcting that. Honestly, this seems to be more consistent in terms of quality than the Lionspy. That's pretty surprising. This doesn't have some of the screaming flaws that the Lionspy did, and I had the same number of these. I even handled more of these than the Lionspy. So, I don't know. Maybe the 5 that were at my local shop just weren't that great, but I've heard that most everybody's were pretty bad. Not bad, just not what you would expect for the price. Speaking of price, this is only $175. You're getting a lot of knife for $175. Getting a nice, super nice blade, that hard D2. You're getting a titanium frame lock. It's a small knife also. It's a pretty small knife. Smaller, if you're not including the glass breaker, smaller than a large Sabenza, but it's beefy. I mean, it's something that you wouldn't mind really beating on. One thing that I really, really like, I don't know why, but I like this knife because it's a knife first and foremost, but it is kind of a multi-tool in its own way with a wire stripper, the bottle opener, um, the wire stripper. I can't even tell you if that works or not. So I hesitate to call it a wire stripper. The bottle opener. I like this feature as well. It's a 1/4 inch driver for a hex. You can let it sit in there like that, or you can let the pocket clip take it, and it actually works. There's really no play to speak of in between the titanium and the bit. Really the only part holding the bit in is the back slab of the titanium. So the G10 doesn't take any of the pressure or anything like that. A really cool feature. I like it because these things are ubiquitous. Let's face it, they're everywhere. These little bit drivers are used for everything. Let's say you needed to adjust your knife. You wanted a field expedient knife adjustment. You could throw a T10, a T6, and a T8 in a little baggie or whatever, and then the knife in your pocket could be used as a wrench. And it does work. I've already used it, tested it out. Works really well. You have a glass breaker, which is always nice. Being able to break glass, people don't realize it's pretty important. Tempered glass is extremely hard to break unless you have something pointy, such as like your car windows and stuff. It's almost impossible to break with something wide like your fist. You'll break your hand trying to break it because tempered glass is just so strong. Something with a nice needle tip like that, you can just tap it and it'll break. So that's good to have. A lot of people die in their car because they can't get out. So, like if you go underwater and stuff. Backspacer, I think, is aluminum. I like the backspacer. I like that it does come up so far. It makes the knife feel really strong. Honestly, I haven't really used it all that much, so I can't give like a formal review on it in use or anything. I can tell you that it's a comfortable knife. The pocket clip does not bother me. Even though it does stick out a good ways, it just kind of makes the grip fatter, so it almost fits my hand better with a pocket clip like this. I could imagine that this point right here would get annoying after a while, but if you just make sure most of your grip's coming from these two fingers, I don't think it would bother you. It is a very nice, comfortable grip. You can get up on the blade. You have a lot of control. It just seems to cut really well for what it is, which is pretty much a folding pry bar. Built really well. Absolutely no lateral play and absolutely no vertical play. I mean, it's a solid knife. Don't let people scare you away. I've had 2 people so far tell me that it's going to develop problems, and it may. I don't know. They don't know either, but I sure don't know. So far, it hasn't. I mean, it hasn't even hinted at developing any problems. So I'm happy with it so far. I really like the HEST fixed blade. I'm glad I tried this HEST folder because I do like it. Robert Young Pelton, the owner, had a classic meltdown on Blade Forums. I mean, you really should have been there. So he's a douchebag. He really is a douchebag. He's a world-class idiot. But this knife is awesome. Luckily, I can separate my thoughts on the maker or the designer and the knife. There is a lot of tension in the lock bar. Not so much as the Lionsteel though. This one's much more comfortable to unlock. They do give you a little bit of jimping, and they did contour the lock bar down here to make it a little bit more comfortable. And they recessed this to give you access. It's very comfortable to unlock. Hasn't given me any trouble. The Lionsteel made my thumb hurt after like 20 openings. So this is very comfortable in comparison. The blade coating is DLC, so it's going to hold up very well, I imagine, just like all other DLC does. So far it's held up really well. I have cut with it and it's not scuffed, so that's good. The roto block I'm not even going to talk about because it's a useless feature. I hate the roto block. It does function on this knife perfectly though. I mean, if you lock it in, the lock bar doesn't move at all, but I still hate it. I think it's pointless. Y'all may differ, or you may beg to differ, but I think it's pointless. Anyway, I'll wrap this up now. If you're thinking about getting a HEST folder, definitely get the 2.0. If you're sketchy about it, you're kind of worried, I'm going to go ahead and say don't be, because it does appear to be very good quality. At least now it does. I will keep you guys posted. If any problems arise, I'll definitely let you know. But so far, it appears to be rock solid. I mean, it's a really well built folder. Really well built. The tip doesn't show like it did on the previous models. As you can see, you can't even get to the tip. So that's good. I think it's a stylish knife. Really stylish knife. Anyway, that's my quasi review. Just me rambling about the knife. Everybody's asked for it. Everybody likes it. So there you go. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.